Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Mig-19 in DCS World. Now the Mig-19 is kind of a unique module because it kind of blends some of the stuff you're probably familiar with in the Mig-15 with a lot of the stuff that you're probably used to in the Mig-21 as well. It is definitely an interesting aircraft. It is fairly well modeled. You can see the nice little sun kind of coming off of it. You have a couple different weapon systems, and since this is the P model, you can see it's got that monstrous radar built right into the nose. It is not the fanciest radar. It's also got those old school wing fences and everything like that. So what I thought we'd do today is just kind of take a look at the aircraft, take it for a quick little spin, pop it onto that runway there. It doesn't seem like a lot of runway, but this airplane doesn't need much runway, and that's one of the neat things. So anyway, let's go ahead and get the sucker started. So unlike a lot of the other aircraft, or like some of the aircraft, you have to, as usual, go ahead and tell them to go ahead and get yourself some ground electrical power, and then you can basically do your classic left to right sort of a thing to kind of get this thing started. Since we have the site, I'm just going to go ahead and get everybody all nice and charged up. Notice how many systems are based on electric versus conventional. And I find that kind of interesting, to be honest. So now we have two engines on this thing, and it has kind of a neat little quirk, and I think you'll get a kick out of it in just a second. Let's go ahead and turn on, oh, we don't need cockpit heating, it's not that cold today. All right, so the nice thing is, since we're using ground electrical power, we can actually start both engines simultaneously, which I think is actually really cool. Starting engines in this thing is amazingly simple. You just press and hold that button, and you press and hold that button. And that's it. So now the engines are going to go ahead and start cranking themselves over, and they'll be started in just a minute. Then we can go ahead and start getting everything else warmed up. Of course, I'm going to make sure my radar is going to be all nice and juiced up. We're going to go ahead and put a height limit right here on that setting right there, and we're going to make sure our weapons are nice and selected. And you can see the engines are spooling up quite nicely. Everything's nice and toasty, and we're pretty much good to go. You can see my gun sight. One of the weird things about this aircraft, or neat things, depending on you, is you'll notice if I move my head, the gun sight center is here, but our center position is actually over here, which is, it's kind of a thing. It's not the worst thing in the world, as you probably can imagine, but it is a little frustrating sometimes when you do that kind of thing. Everything looks pretty good right there. I'm going to go ahead and check that out real fast. The system looks pretty good. Let's make sure this is all set up correctly. Shut-off valve should be set up already. There we go. We are all set. Engines have caught. Everything is all set in that regard. We'll go ahead and turn this on. There's no ADF here, and we're pretty much good to go. Give this thing a couple more RPMs. Now, if you remember on the MiG-15, when you do start this particular aircraft, your generator will actually shut itself off if your RPM gets too low. Don't have that issue on this particular aircraft, which is really, really nice. Another thing you want to make sure you do is you go ahead and tell them to remove the wheel chocks. We're going to go ahead and slam the lid. A couple different things you have to lock here. You have to pull that one back. You got to click this little switch right here to go ahead and pressurize it. Now, of course, I messed up already because normally you'd have to slam this switch locked. And now I believe we are all set and we are all ready to go. I don't need it hot. It's perfectly nice in here. Okay, that's it. So now, as usual, we call up air traffic control, and we're going to go ahead and ask them nicely to start up, even though we should have done that already. Then we're going to go ahead and ask with them again and say, hey, would you be so kind as to let me taxi to the runway? Now, like all Russian aircraft you're probably familiar with, to go ahead and turn while you're on the ground, you have to hold the little controller right there. And I'm going to go ahead and set my take-up flaps with that big squishy button right there. So we're going to have to go straight and right today. This thing just a little bit of gas. And we'll start rolling. Hold down our little brake there. Should get us going around pretty quick. Now, one thing I've got to give this plane credit for is it wants to go. Even though this plane is a product of basically the late 50s, early 60s, it is a fast aircraft. It's a little bit like the F-100 if somebody put a second engine in it, kind of a thing. And it will certainly get you going in a hurry. One of the problems with it being such an earlier generation aircraft, of course, is extremely limited range as far as fuel goes. And that's going to be a constant problem for us, especially since we're not carrying any external tanks today. Go ahead and get ourselves rolling here. We'll go ahead and ask nicely for a takeoff. Now, one thing that I wish this aircraft had that it doesn't is better sound effects. It just, I don't know, there's just something about it seems kind of, I don't know. Could be better. Could be better is what I'll say. Now, I love this. Now, in this aircraft, unlike a lot of the aircraft you've probably experienced, if you want full power, you have to actually push the controller all the way forward, the throttle that is, and then slam it into full power with this neat little button that's located right here. If you want afterburner, you have to press this button to actually activate the afterburner. You can actually go from full power to afterburner if you want. So it's quirky, to say the least. But it's definitely a product of its time. So anyway, we're all ready to go. Everything's looking pretty good. We're going to go ahead and use full power here. So I'm going to push my throttle all the way forward. Re-engage my nose wheel steering. Power is going to come up. So now watch this. Once we get to 11,000 RPM, I'm going to press and hold this button right here. 2 green lights come on, and now I'm at full military power. Now if I wanted to go over to afterburner, I simply hold the afterburner button. You can see the afterburner light just popped on. Now we're already ready to take off. Isn't that amazing? Like, I know there's a lot of aircraft in this game that can take off at extremely short distances, but that's just excessive. So anyway, we've gone ahead and gotten ourselves up in the air, and you can see it's a beautiful day here in France. This is in the Normandy region. I'm going to go kind of easy on my fuel, but I am going to go ahead and give myself a little bit of altitude here. A little bit of turbulence today, nothing too bad though. So let's go ahead and check in with AWACS real quickly and request the picture. We got a group at 348 for 130. So we're going to go ahead and head over to 348. 348 for 130 hot. Alright, start the guns. Okay, that little buffeting you're feeling is that good old-fashioned transonic drag. It can get very bad in this aircraft. Let's see what Central Command actually wanted us to intercept today. I'm going to go ahead and get myself some altitude. Whoa, boy. That's, got to get ourselves out of the transonic region here. Man, can this thing climb. I wish its visibility was a little bit better. I, almost can't see out the front. Take a look down there at our altitude. We're already at 6,000 meters, and I'm barely working this thing. Not quite F-15 performance, but at the same token, it really is pretty impressive. Whoa, boy. This isn't pretty good. We could actually pull the nose up just a teeny bit higher, get ourselves out of that transonic region, and we can climb even quicker. Look at this thing go! That is amazing. Alright, it's better. 0.85 is a pretty good climb speed. I'm going to go ahead and give myself just a little bit of unloading here. And we just crossed 10,000 meters already. Man, that's impressive. I'll bring my nose back down. Go ahead and reduce our power now to military. Push the throttle back forward after killing it. And this is more than high enough. Okie doke. Let's see if we can figure out where we're going and where we need to go. So they said 348. So 348 is more like, actually we're pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. You know, one of the things I do like about this aircraft is it grooves really, really nicely. Like, you can kind of trim it and it just kind of stays there, even at stupidly high altitudes. Look at how high up we are already. That's just incredible. Alright, let's keep cruising along here. Again, I wish the sounds were just a touch better. That'd be kind of nice. Our cannons are armed, everything's armed, our radar's off at the moment, but I guarantee you it's nice and warmed up. And we're climbing again. We don't need to climb. Alright, Central Command said that there's supposed to be something that took off from England. Oh, there it is. Tree 5 tree at 900. So we need to come to our right just a little bit. Just a teeny tiny bit. Pull the nose up just a little bit. Now we're in that transonic again. By the way, I am not an afterburner, and I'm not even at military power, and we're bumping into transonic again. That's impressive. Again, this thing was designed to be an interceptor, so it's pretty good at its job. Now, if we're carrying some external fuel tanks, we probably couldn't cheat this bad. I think we might just break Mach 1 here. Ooh, boy, that's getting annoying. Let's go ahead and get up to Mach 1, shall we? Hold the afterburner button. Afterburner light comes on. Notice the pitot error. And we have now exceeded the speed of sound. Wow. That's pretty impressive, not gonna lie. You can already see the coast of England off in the distance. Let's go ahead and check in with our GCI again. 35 tree for 6-0. So we're right on course. And we're approaching 1500. Oh, we're a little high. Wait till we get just a touch closer. Again, this thing is incredibly fast for its age. And you can see looking down there at the bottom, I'm already doing Mach 1.2 and I'm just cruising. Now, if you carry external fuel tanks, usually you can't cheat like this, but I'll take what I can get. What the heck would be flying at 1,500 feet? Well, I guess we'll find out when we get there. Just look at how high up we are. We're almost at 40,000 and we're just going. It's pretty insane, again, for the age. This thing does have bombing capability. It does have rocket capability. It's a little tricky to use, but honestly, it's just as hard as the MiG-21 as far as trying to bomb with it. The rockets, it's just like anything. The cannon on this thing is sweet, by the way. Now, maybe we'll get to use it. We'll have to see what happens when we get a little bit closer to our target area. Very curious as to, well, what could possibly be down there that's that low. But I guess we'll find out when we get a little closer. Of course, when they're that low, our radar is virtually useless. How are we doing for speed? We're at Mach 1.3 now. So we're moving. It goes up a little bit. It's a little tricky to trim when you're doing, you know, speeds like this. Yeah, I'm getting into the red. I see. You have to be very careful reducing the throttle at these speeds because you can get really, really bad engine surge. Alright, let's go ahead and check over the GCI one more time. Oh geez, we gotta go down. Reduce power. Go ahead and gently unload the plane. Air brakes out. Nice and easy, nice and easy. You don't want any surge if we can help it, especially at speeds like this. So tree 5-2, 2-1. We're gonna go ahead and get the radar ready. Radar's armed. We're not gonna see much of anything in a second because we're gonna start getting ground returns. Anybody's familiar with the F5 radar is probably very familiar with ground returns. Ooh, we're bumping into transonic again. Careful, I don't want any engine surge. Easy. Easy, that's pretty good right there. It's neat because you can watch our generator actually constantly changing. Alright, so we need to start keeping our eyes very peeled. I said 1,500, that's quite a ways down. I have a feeling we're going to pass over the top of them and have to whip back around again. Put upside down, make it a little bit easier. Give myself a corkscrew maneuver here. Starting to get ground returns, 175, so he's already passed over us. So we should be able to look out the window and basically see him. Now, I read a really neat article actually yesterday that was describing how difficult it is to spot other aircraft in the air. And apparently aircraft aren't so bad. The ones that are bad are going to be the ones or things like spotting vehicles and stuff like that. There we go. Going a little fast here, but that's okay. Oh, I hate flying over water. It's so difficult to see. So apparently with aircraft, they're not that bad to spot. The trickiest part with aircraft is you're trying to find their motion. You're not trying to find the actual aircraft itself. Because you're never going to be able to see a little black speck in the distance, especially when you play at very, very high resolutions. I'm still not seeing what I'm looking for here. You're going to have to help me out here. Put the speed brake back where it belongs. Oh, I'm getting nothing but ground returns. 173, so that's actually behind me. Man, do you have to kick the rudder hard on this thing? What's my speed? That's slow enough. Oh, a little bit of trouble there. There we go. Alright, 173 is what we're looking for. So we're very low at this point, and our radar literally is looking at the ground, which is nice and frustrating. Let's go ahead and snap ourselves the other way. Alright, he's got to be out there somewhere. We're still high, though. Help us out here. 162 for 8. Should be right behind him. 162. Gotta get lower. Picking something up. Altitude still too high. Look at the radar. We can switch it to low altitude mode, but look what that does. Well, that's not gonna do me any good, is it? isn't. Should be looking right at it. Literally, like, right in front of me. Altitude down just a little. I should be seeing whatever the heck it is we're looking for. I'm sure our folks that are home have already seen it. I just don't see it. Put this back on. I think it's just going to be a wall of color right now. I'm at 1,500 meters and I still don't see it. 168 for 5. 168 should be slightly to my right. 5 kilometers is not far away. There, we're at the same altitude. 168, okay. Anybody see it? Switching to my external view here, making it a little easier to see. I'm like literally like looking at individual pixels here and I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. Hey Wax, you gotta help me out here. 144 for 5. 144 is over here on my left. 5 nautical miles. I'm looking right where it should be. Gotta bring our engines back in. They've been at idle for a while. Altitude, we're actually slightly below it. There's something. I saw it. Shoot, I saw it for a second. The radar picked it up and then it got chewed up. Ah. Was it? Oh, I saw it. I didn't see it in the air. I saw it on the radar for just a moment. It's my altitude. It's a little low. That's what I want it to be, though. I should be looking right at whatever we're trying to find here. Well, this is interception for you. Unless it's leaving a smoke trail, there's no way in the universe we're probably going to see it. We can always cheat, of course, but we're gonna pretend we're not going to flip the radar back on. Freak chance we accidentally acquire it. Talk me onto the target, guys. 222 at 3. Right? I should be literally looking right at whatever I'm looking for. This is insane. I just don't see it. 222 should be right there. Back down. I'm gonna slam into this thing. Nothing below, there's nothing above, there's literally nothing out here. I'm sure this has all happened to you guys at one point, but again, we're illustrating the capabilities and lack of capability of this aircraft very clearly, at least in my mind. Yeah, I got nothing, AWACS. You're gonna have to help. We're gonna have to start thinking about going back to base because we're starting to shoot through that fuel now. .010 is gonna be right about here. That other aircraft is taunting me right now. I can tell it. 010 right there. I just don't see it. Am I looking too low? Am I looking too high? Bring the radar down just a little bit. Ah! Now it gets melted by ground returns. There's something right there. Just saw it. It's still there. Oh, I see it. Right there. Straight now. Ah, it's getting chewed up by ground returns again. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Left. Just a little bit. Alright, I think we got it. It's right there. I saw it. Lost it again. Let's take a chance here. Trying to use the side lobes of the radar here to reacquire it, but it just ain't coming. Alright, I think it's time to cheat. It's a Yak 52. No wonder we couldn't find it. This is a negative situation. It looks like a civilian aircraft. We had to use our auto magic missile system in order to identify. Yeah, like you're gonna be able to identify that. Whoops. Shot. Oh, look, there it is. That's it. There it is. And now, if we wanted to attack it, we would uncage just like that. And I completely lost it. He's over there on my right, I think. Yeah. This has been an interesting intercept. Yeah, unless you know exactly where you're looking, there's no way I'm gonna find that plane. Oh, I'm starting to have some trouble here. Alright, we're out of fuel for this intercept. Oh, there it is. Hey there. Air Defense Command, we've positively identified the target. It appears to be a Yak 52. Nothing we need to be too concerned about. I'll send it a threatening flare. Gonna swing down this way, get my flare gun ready to go. Flare on. Let's give it some angry flares. There we go. Just reminded it's going in the wrong direction. Alright, mission accomplished. Let's go ahead and head back to base. Go ahead and uncage my system here. Go ahead and shut my radar off. And that's about the basics of this particular aircraft. So if you found that experience kind of interesting, there's a lot of that. The radar is useful, but if your GCI isn't doing what he's worth, or you don't have like 10 sets of eyes in the sky, you can see that it's going to severely limit your ability to engage targets in the air. Alright, enjoy.